All right, hold on, you guys. All right. How's it going? Welcome to Friday. Interesting day, huh? All right. So this is Bitcoin up on the chart. We're going to switch this over to the NASDAQ in a moment. Just wanted to touch on this real quick. Also, yesterday in the evening, I streamed a brief episode where I talked about how I'm buying the Qs. So we'll update that here again today, real quick, since we've had such a dramatic move overnight. Non-farm payrolls came out at 8:30. I mean, I looked at the prices after the prices were higher than they were um, pre-market. So I don't know. We'll take a look at the charts in a moment here. I don't really pay attention to the actual outcome of the news as far as what they say. I'm just interested in the price. So Bitcoin's very interesting. We've been watching this lower high situation, and it looks like there's a trade that's been in play here on the hourly chart. Okay. Again, we're not going to trade this, but looks like there was a short that's been in play since, I guess, a few hours ago. Interesting, right? Look at that. And it looks like it's lower high. It looks like the lower low is a decent possibility if you're using the Trade Scanner Pro. Anyway, we're not here to do Bitcoin analysis. We're here to take a look at the NASDAQ. So let's go. Let me go to my comments, make sure I can see what you guys are saying. Guys, feel free to chime in, say hello. If you want to share what city or country you are from, that's always a fun fact. I'm streaming from the greater New York City area, also known as Northern New Jersey. All right. So we're going to switch this over. Let's go to the M. Oh, hold on. All right. So we're going to M and Q1. Now I have my Tradeovate thing set up. This over here is my 1 hour chart. Man, that doesn't look that good. I'm going to switch this over to a 1 minute. Okay. Man. Well, we're still higher than the overnight low. We'll take a look at that in a moment. And then I'm going to change this chart over here to MNQ1. All right. Now, so let's begin with the daily chart real quick, because what we want to do dealing with the Trade Scanner Pro is put some levels. Now, if you're new to the stream, welcome. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at basically 9:30 for about an hour in the market open. I also stream on Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern time usually. And, I'm trying to put more content out there. Maybe, maybe some kind of evening, like yesterday was an evening stream. I never do evening streams, but I thought it was a special occasion. So, check out my channel for more stuff like that. Anyway, so this is really a really nasty move. Okay. Now, look, I know tariffs, I know blah, blah, blah. I get it. That's the catalyst behind this thing. But I don't care what the catalyst is. I'm looking at the technical pattern. Now, sure, the catalyst is important to keep in mind because that's what makes the situation unique. That's why we're getting such a harsh move. But there's some proportion to this, right? Number one, this is like your classic ABC pattern, which is actually a harmonic pattern. If this move equals the length of this move, that's usually the full move, right? If you get a one-to-one movement. Anyway, that doesn't really matter. That doesn't really say much. Doesn't help a whole lot. The whole point is we've had this massive move, and we are now flirting with some pretty interesting areas. I'm just going to go to the weekly chart here real quick. This is really not relevant for day trades, but since we're in the area, it's kind of helpful to know where we are. I mean, look at where we are. We're going all the way back to like here. Okay, we haven't been this low since what's this over here? August. We haven't been this low. Now, something about this. What do you guys see over here? Do you guys see it? You may not see it. But what I think is a very high probability here, at least for the next few months, this has nothing to do with a day trade, is I suspect we get a head and shoulders, right? So we have a shoulder over here, right? You see this shoulder, that's pretty clear. We have the head over here, and now we're in a location where the beginning of the next shoulder is likely. Now, it doesn't guarantee we're going to get that. We may just keep going in a straight line. That's also a possibility, although I think it's a lower probability. I think it's a lower probability to see something like that, although it can happen. All right. The thing is, the likelihood of a bounce over at least the next week or two is pretty high. I'm anticipating something like that. Okay. And that would bring us possibly into our next shoulder if we can get that type of pattern. This is not a forecast. It's just a possibility. And if I see the confirmations, that's where my expectations will lean. Now, we have a resistance up here, right? See that? That's where the next shoulder, if we get that, that would be a good profit objective or a place to be getting out or a place to be getting short, right? Which is 20,960. So that's the big picture. You could translate that over to the Qs, but that's the big picture, right? Now, as far as our small picture is concerned, let's go back to our daily chart, because now this is what I'm going to talk about now is more relevant for day trades, which is what we're looking for. So when it comes to day trades, I'm interested in obviously yesterday's candle. This is yesterday's candle over here, right? This one. So we have no support levels nearby until we go all the way back to like August. So I'm really not going to put that on the chart. The only support level I can work with really is the overnight low. And that's that low right there. So my overnight high and overnight low, that's my range. That's a very wide move. Okay. Especially since yesterday we were minus like 1,000 points. And what? We were pretty much overnight we were minus 1,000 points again. So in these unusual times, you have to recognize the opportunity. It's hard to do since we've been lulled into complacency for 4 years, basically, with these markets that don't really pull back. This is a real pullback. This is a real market. And a lot of people are unprepared for this. So you're going to see a lot of hype on Twitter. You're going to see a lot of hype all over the place. Don't get shaken by that. Look at the levels and try to understand the probability of this situation. It is unusual. So there's a good chance, a better chance, I say, that we bounce, not continue lower in a straight line. This is not the place to be shorting on the big picture. On the small picture, sure, no problem. But the big picture, you're taking a big chance there, shorting, because this thing is likely to bounce. Okay, now, how much do we get a bounce for? Who knows? A good point for short term, a good point would be this midpoint right here. Okay, so that's what on the Qs on the NASDAQ futures 19,165. So that's a good 1,000-point move from here. That's a reasonable retracement. That's only 50% of this movement right here. It's only 50% of that. So that's not even a major retracement. That's just like noise. That's just like a typical mean reversion type of retracement, right? I think that's a high probability, especially if we close strong today or close on the stronger side. Does that make sense? Let me know if you guys are hearing me out there. I know I have like 10 people here I have 16 people on Twitter and 3 people on YouTube. Come on, guys. Do me a favor. Come over to YouTube. I know I don't have the YouTube link on here. Just search for Mark P. Markets on YouTube and come over to YouTube and press the like button over here. I could use the help. Come on, you guys. Like I said, if I don't see like progress and growth in a couple of months of me streaming at these times, then there's really no reason for me to stream at these times. I'd rather not, to be honest with you. There's better things I could be doing right now. So anyway, all right. So these levels here are going to be important, particularly today's range. That's all really I'm interested in for day trades. Now, let's switch over to the hourly chart. Okay. So I have on my hourly chart, I could see my pre-market levels. And that's pretty much what I have marked off here, right? That's our pre-market low, which was pretty dramatic. And we have our pre-market high, which was basically yesterday's low. Those levels are important because those are support and resistance levels. As far as trend structure goes, I mean, that's pretty easy. The trend is bearish, right? Even on the hourly, I see lower highs and lower lows. That's all I see. So I'm looking for resistances to hold and supports to generally break. Now, with all of this being said here, right? Is it the 50%? What is it? No, that's the overnight. Let me get rid of this line. We don't need that line right there. I don't want to confuse people. So with that said, we have a pretty large bearish momentum candle right here. I can also look at the 50% of that and use that as basically a reference point for resistance. Those 50% lines, they're not like the most reliable, but they are an inflection point to keep in mind. So if I get confirmations up here intraday, I should be open to the short side. Now, on my hourly chart, so wait, what level is that? 18,345. Okay. On my hourly chart, clearly there's some kind of resistance up here, right? That we just rejected over here, which is what? 18,273. That's sort of off that 50% area. So anything between above 18,250 or something like that, 18,3, I should be open to the short side. I should be looking for reversals, which means I may have to be in counter trend mode for that. That's why that's important to keep in mind. All right. Hey, YouTube guys, are you listening? Are you out there? Give me a hello in the chat. How do I know you guys can even hear me? I got nothing in the chat. Come on, you guys. Say hello. Don't be shy. So you guys following me so far on this? Trend is generally bearish. We have some resistance levels that we can use as reference points. We have no supports nearby. The support right now is this overnight low. Hey, unboxing. How are you? Been a while. I haven't seen you in a while. Hope you've been doing some good unboxing. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for saying hello. So we can use this, the hourly low that we have right now. I mean, I really have no other levels. So I'm going to have to use that as a point of reference as well. These are not the best levels to work with because they're based on like just a couple of hourly candles. Okay. But I need some kind of support and resistance levels, right? I need something. So that's what I basically, when I'm working with the Trade Scanner Pro, this is really the first step you have to take, is you have to identify reasonable support or resistance levels, and then we have to consider these levels in context of the trend. The trend is bearish, right? I'm going to turn the Trade Scanner Pro on this chart. There's nothing here at the moment, right? There's no signal, but this is the hourly chart. I'm not interested as a day trader taking trades on the hourly. I'm interested in the 1 minute chart. Let's go over there now. So here's the 1 minute chart. Okay. So as you can see, these blue lines are the lines that I drew from my hourly chart. Do you guys see how I do that? That's the first step that you have to take to use the Trade Scanner Pro. The Trade Scanner Pro is not a forecasting tool. I have to remind people that all the time. It's a confirmation tool. So we want to confirm signals at preferably one of these levels if possible, right? That could give me a buy or sell at, for example, support, possibly long, but I would have to be in counter trend mode to get that long. Right now, I'm in regular mode, which is trend mode, and the trend says bearish over here, which means the momentum is bearish, which means the Trade Scanner Pro is looking for shorts. That's what it's looking for. Now, do I agree with that? Well, the general trend is bearish, yes, but we have to pay attention to changing structure. This is a 1 minute chart. This structure is not exactly bearish on the 1 minute. I have higher lows, right? Higher low. It's trying to work its way back up to this high over here. So I have to be aware of this potential change. Look at this price structure. Look at this price structure inside of here compared to this price structure, right? This price structure that I have highlighted here above my big head is bearish. That's lower highs and lower lows. This is more of a consolidating situation, and there's a higher low in there. Now, when we think about the big picture, how beaten up this thing is, we may see a reversal. Obviously, non-farm payrolls came out at 8:30. Where is the non-farm payrolls price action on here? This is it over here. Look, this is non-farm payrolls. Nothing. It's a blip. There's nothing. This is a 1-minute chart. This is non-farm payrolls. Okay? That's nothing. So non-farm payrolls is basically like no one's concerned about non-farm payrolls, clearly. And so it's had no effect. The only thing we could say here is the price is trying to consolidate. We can argue that this may be a lower high, but it's not coming from lower lows exactly. So, I mean, I could attempt to follow the momentum. Let's go to a 30-second chart, because with a market that's moving this wild, we're probably going to have to work on a smaller time frame. The smallest I'm going to go for these streams is 30 seconds. I'm not going to go lower than that. So I'll work between 1 minute, basically 30 seconds and 5 minutes. Those are the time frames that I'm interested in taking trades on. Now I have my MNQ contract here. This is an account with Apex. It's a eval account. And the whole purpose of these streams is to document all the trades that I take to see if we can reach the profit objective to get to a paid account, which is $3,000. This is a $50,000 eval account, which means it's actually technically a $2,500 account because that's the max loss limit. If you're not familiar with the whole prop firm situation, I suggest you watch some videos. There's 10 million videos on it. You could Google it. I would like to teach it myself, but I mean, there's a lot to talk about there. And while we're waiting for trades, sure, I'll fill you in on it. But this is basically an eval account. Now, I'm not an affiliate, so it doesn't matter if you sign up with them or whoever, if you decide to go with an eval. But if you're new to the prop firm thing, I would suggest first practicing. There's no reason to spend any money, although it's not a lot of money. There's no reason to really waste your time with that until you have some sort of mental framework in place. Because the thing with prop firms is their goal is for you to lose, right? They don't want you to win. So they put all these parameters, or they call these, these risk parameters to make you a good trader, right? But those are there for you to fail, not for you to win. If they wanted you to win, these parameters wouldn't be so tight. So on top of a hard market to begin with, they make it even harder. Now, so you have to learn how to adjust your risk to those parameters. It's not easy to do, but once you have that figured out, your chances of beating the eval are much greater. Now, there are strategies that you can employ that are basically specific to beating the eval in like a couple of days, right? Which is ideal. The problem with that type of strategy, though, is that same strategy is most likely not sustainable, and you will blow your real account when you get to the real account anyway. Because in order to beat an eval like in a day or two, you have to trade size. Number one, no question. I'd have to trade mini lots. And I just need to randomly be right. So one strategy people do is they open up lots of eval, because you could do multiple evals, right? Evaluations. You could do 10, 20 of them. So each one of those, you could think about that it's a chance to get to a paid account. And so you could take random trades and you could randomly win. Now, many of these firms have something called a consistency rule. Apex has that, where if you make more than 50% of the profit objective in one day, they move the goalposts. They say, okay, well, now you got to make this much more money because we want to make sure what you're doing is sustainable. They just do that because they don't want people randomly winning more so that they have to pay out more, right? They want to keep their frequency of payouts low, and they realize that they're going to have to make random payouts. Just like a casino has winners and they have to pay out those people, right? So they have this all mathematically figured out. My point is, I'm not employing one of those strategies where we can beat the eval in a couple of days. I'm familiar with them. I know what we can do to do that, but it's not going to be good for the long term, because if I do reach the paid account, I want to be able to employ a strategy where I can collect payouts. That's the whole point. Now you could say, well, why don't you just do the fast strategy to get into the eval and then go to the slow strategy? Well, I could do that, I guess, but I don't think that's a good habit to get into. That's essentially gambling. And what I want to promote here, how to trade in a sustainable way. So if this takes me a month to do, well, that's okay. Because if I could beat them in a month, that means the strategy that I'm employing should be good when I get to the paid account. Does that make sense? So there are many prop firms out there. I like Apex because they're cheap, but they have some ridiculous rules, I have to say. They all sort of have similar rules, but some have some unique rules that others don't have. So you want to be familiar with the rules. And sometimes they make the rules convoluted to confuse you. That's done on purpose. But that's why you have to give it time, practice, take it slow. Hey, Sean, how are you? I saw your comment yesterday on my video. Thanks for the comment. How's it going? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well in this environment. I know you've been trying to work with some options and stuff like that. And I know you've been interested, but leaning more on the conservative side. And look, there's nothing wrong with being conservative, man. As we can see, getting aggressive in a situation like this can be very painful, right? The NASDAQ moving 2,000 points like in 2 days is kind of ridiculous and very unusual. So this is why we respect risk. Why, and why I do things small all the time. Or there are times when you want to step in a little bit more, but a little bit more for me is really not that big. I'm doing 10 shares. You saw the video yesterday. I'm only doing 10 shares at a time. Schwartz, the international man of mystery from Romania. I love Romania. Schwartz is like favorite Romanian. But I have Alex, can't forget Alex, and I have Dan, my Romanians. How you doing, Schwartz? Good to see you. So I'm waiting for it. So basically, I know I'm talking a lot. I'm waiting for a trade. We have no trade signals here. I could probably get something on a 15-second chart, but I'm not going that low. Okay, I'm going to wait. Now, notice something. My trend turned bullish, okay, on this time frame. So that what that means there is the momentum has changed. This thing is actually looking for longs right now. Right? Okay, interesting. So what do I do with that? I'm still, because of this location, we're basically, look at this pattern. I mean, we're just fooling around in the middle here, right? Look, we have like this, see this situation going on over here? We're just fooling around in the middle. This consolidation pattern. Okay, no problem. My trend just turned bearish again. This thing's going to change a lot on a 30-second chart. It's constantly going to change. Okay, cool. Yes, Sean. Yes. I was actually looking yesterday at some straight calls, just straight options, but and I'm looking 3 months out at least. 3 months out at least. And they were still kind of expensive, man, for one contract. I mean, the Qs for, I think I was looking at the 480s, I think. They were like $1,200. Like, man, that's just, so then I could, you could do the vertical spreads, which reduce that cost. In fact, I put on a vertical spread yesterday for $1.75. I bought 3 months out. And I think I have to look at the prices. I think it was a 480, 485 call spread for June. All right, so I got a couple of those. Romania loves me. So you should, that appreciates the truth and appreciate. All right, cool. Thank you, Schwartz. International man of mysteries. Very mysterious, but he is a doctor. Okay, he's a mysterious doctor from Romania. Telling you, Schwartz, I'm going to be checking out Romania. I'll let you know. Schwartz even said he offered that I would be his guest. I mean, I'd be hooked up over there, man. And, we'd get together with all the Romanian guys. Probably try to get me drunk. I understand. I'm not much of a drinker, but, I'll have some, I don't know what you guys drink over there. Maybe I'm going to guess maybe it's vodka or something. Romania! So anyway, no, Schwartz, good to see you. I remember it was Schwartz, Dan, Alex, and then there was another guy. Those were my Romanians. And they used to come visit me every Monday when I would do my stream at 3 p.m. I have my Romanians back when I was very popular over there. But now, I only have Alex. And now Schwartz comes to see me. See? So they're very loyal people. Hey, how are you? Iqbal, I remember you. Cool. Champagne and vodka. Oh, in Russia, not here. Oh, okay. All right, good to know. Good to know. I mean, yeah, I could whatever, man. I'm good. I could drink whatever. I'm not like I said, I'm not a big drinker, but I don't mind a little thing here or there. Cool. Romania. I like saying that. In case you guys haven't noticed. All right. So there's really not a whole lot going on here right now. I mean, one thing about the Trade Scanner Pro, sometimes, if this is a 30-second chart, sometimes you're not going to get the signal right away. What time is it? It's just after 10 o'clock. I may sit here a whole session with no signal. That's a possibility, and that's okay. You don't have to take a trade every day. You don't have to force trades, right? You don't want to force trades. So in this situation, I would like to go with the momentum, which is now just turned bullish again. But, it's a little problematic because we're fooling around in the middle here, in the middle of this range between this high and this low. So what I would prefer, I mean, look at this range. What a nice consolidation. The ideal situation would be to go long near the support if I can get a signal there, or a short near this resistance. Nearer, like there's clearly a level up here, but we never got a signal up there. I bet you there's a 15-second signal. Let's just take a look. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to. Oh, look, there's a signal right now. Look, there was what is this? Excuse me, this is a long. This was a long called over here that's on its way to being stopped out. I'm just curious, what is the risk on this? 52 points on a 15-second chart. That's a lot for a 15-second chart. Now, again, so this is why I don't, that's not part of the plan to trade the 15-second chart. My plan is 30 seconds up to 5 minutes. That's it. So I could scan those charts. Oh, look, here's a 1-minute chart. What's the 1 minute telling? Oh, the 1 minute's short and I'm not in it. I was too busy talking about Romania. I missed this. I'm not going to take it now. Should have stayed on the 1 minute, but all right, what am I going to do? I was on the 30-second. The signal came on the 1 minute, and the signal came here. Look at this. And also, look at this. I even had a second opportunity to get into that on the touch of the blue line. Nothing I can do now. All right, this is why we look around. Let's take a look at the 2 minute. Anything there? 3 minute. We're just scanning here. We're just looking around. 5 minute. Nothing. All right, so the 1 minute. And we're halfway toward the profit objective. Well, what am I going to? This would have been really nice for the account if I could have gotten into that. Now, one way actually that a plan that eventually we'll implement. I mean, Stian is working on it. I've talked about this a long time ago, but Stian, I have to depend on Stian, and he's busy. But I want to build an overlay for the Trade Scanner Pro that will basically tell us the signals across time frames that we input, custom time frames, right? So, for example, I'd have like a matrix, like a table, and the table would like appear over here somewhere, wherever I want it to appear. And in that table, I would put my time frames, like 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, whatever, custom time frames. And then it will tell me what's happening on those time frames in terms of signals. So I don't have to jump around, right? And in a situation like that, if I had my 1 minute on there, I would have seen, oh, signal on the 1 minute, and then I wouldn't have missed it. So that's why something like that would be nice to have. So Stian is I know it's in the works, but Stian is going to take some time. I just have to be patient with that. Unboxing. You can visit El Salvador. Is that where you're from? El Salvador. Mucho gusto. ¿Cómo estás? Me encanta El Salvador. I say that about every country. Yesterday I was saying Mexico. No, yeah, yesterday at night I was saying Mexico. But El Salvador, nice. Central America. I've been to Belize, which is British Honduras, which is a lot on the, I guess on the coast there, sort of in your neighborhood. But I haven't been to El Salvador or Guatemala or anywhere, anywhere on that side. But I wouldn't mind checking out that country, and I could speak some Spanish. Oh, you moved there? Oh, okay. Hablas español? I would hope you could speak some Spanish. Man, I wish I was. This would have been a nice trade. This would have been a great trade for the stream, and I missed it. Too busy trying to entertain people. See what happens when you try to entertain people? All right. So, by the way, if you're watching me on Twitter, do me a favor. Go to YouTube, put in the search Mark P. Markets Trade Signals, come to my channel, and press the like button because I need the help on YouTube. I appreciate you guys on Twitter. I appreciate you guys watching me on Twitter, but I could certainly use some more people on YouTube. Oh, nice. Okay. I would think speaking Spanish helps in El Salvador. Cool. All right. How long have you been in El Salvador for? It's got to be nice over there. Nice weather, I would imagine. Man, look at this trade. It just keeps going in a straight line, straight to the profit objective. How can I miss this? So now, look, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to complain about this, whatever, but this was a beautiful trade. If I was short 2 contracts, which the trade scanner told me I should be short, right? There's no mistake. I should not have been going long. This is where this tool is really valuable because, for one, some people may have gotten long over here. Some people may be looking to go long now, which now this is actually an area where a long may make sense because we're at support. But this trade, look at the trailing stop, is now reducing my risk. I would have been out of 1 contract, and then I'd let my winner run, right? That's what I would do in this situation. So either way, even if I'm not in the trade, we can learn from this. Andrea, yes, that would have been a nice trade. Oh, you moved there a few months ago, recently. Nice. Okay. Okay. Are you an American that has relocated? A lot of people are doing that these days. I don't blame you. But yeah. So wow, this was what a trade, man. How much money have I left on the table here? Well, I was too busy being a clown. Let's see, 160 points I left on the table. That would have been a nice 300 and something dollar profit, which I really could have used on this account. Oh, nice. Okay. Now, was there any particular reason why you picked El Salvador? I mean, there's other countries you could have picked, especially in that area. Look, this thing's going beyond the profit objective. All right. Now, you can argue with me and you can say, you should have shorted it here. Well, after the fact, I'm not going to take, if a trade is on the move and we're nowhere near the entry price, I'm not going to step into that. Like, I'm not going to do that. It can work, but I'm taking much greater risk, right? And that's really all that matters. After everything is said and done, what matters is how much risk you're taking, right? I'm not willing to take this risk over here at this point because now I'm like doubling my risk if I shorted it right there. My risk was defined here at this blue line. That's where I should have been short if I was paying attention. Bitcoin adoption. Oh, okay. Friendly people, beautiful mountains and beaches. Oh, nice. Yeah. That sounds nice. I imagine the cost of living is probably a little bit better, especially if you're coming from, a place like California or something. So now, look at this. We have a failed low situation developing. So yeah, I'm sad that I missed that move, but we just have to look for the next move. We just have to look for the next setup. That's all we can do, right? And you're going to experience this too. It's going to happen. You're going to miss moves. If I was short, this would be basically break even. Is anyone short this, by the way? Anyone have the courage to get in? Like, anyone take this at a good price? Or anyone using the Trade Scanner Pro and maybe you shorted it while I was too busy entertaining people? Now the trailing stop is advanced. So this is basically not only is it a risk-free trade, it's a profitable trade, because if you respect the trailing stop and the price goes all the way back to break even, you should be getting out of at least slightly over break even. That's the whole beauty of the Trade Scanner Pro. A lot of people don't understand how to use this tool. And I understand a lot of beginners that they want a forecasting tool. You're going to have a hard time locating a forecasting tool, especially with trading view scripts and stuff like that. You're not going to get a forecasting tool. They're going to lie and tell you, oh, yeah, you can forecast the future. My crystal ball script over here. They're going to all tell you that so that you buy it, but you're going to get random results like everything else when it comes to forecasting. That's why the forecasting component you have to do yourself with the Trade Scanner Pro, but it's not that hard. As you could see, I come in, I look at the structure, right? The trend, I look at the levels, and that's it. I'm done. It takes me 2 minutes. And then I have an idea of what side I want confirmations on. Some days are super clear. Some days aren't. Now this is bearish, man. And oh, look, we blew this little minor level over here. I don't even have to go into counter trend mode now. I mean, this trade is still in play. So I'm not going to fight this thing. I'm just going to have to sit here and feel bad about myself as this thing goes further and further in the green. All right. Anyone in this? I guess no one's in this. So if you guys are new to my stream, again, I want to welcome you. Do me a favor if you can. Please press the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps. I am working toward producing more content. As you can see, I'm streaming 3 days a week now. I even streamed yesterday in the evening. All right, to talk about my cues. Man, there's nothing I can do here. Just watch this thing. Make me feel bad. All right, so here's what I'll do. We'll leave that. We'll watch that. And I'm going to go to the bigger picture and see what's happening here. So this is a high probability reversal area for an intraday trade. It is. If I was still, at this point, if I had my 2 contracts, I would have gotten out of one at the profit objective, and I would be letting this one ride a bit to see how much more I could make. That's what I would be doing right now. Okay, and using the trailing stop as my reference, the trailing stop. Now, at this point, if this thing were to spike and tap me out the trailing stop, I'm giving back a decent amount of profit. Which with a prop account, you don't really want to do that. You want to try to take your max profit as much as you can. Hey, Hussein, how are you? All right, thanks for stopping by. I've got all my regulars here. So in this situation, I can consider the long, but because we're still kind of in this supportive area. Look where we are. We're still not at the overnight low yet. That's my only support. After if we get really far away from this low right here, this failed low situation, then my next support, like if we really move away from that candle, that area, then my next support is going to be the low. All right. So we'll let this play out a bit and see how this trade actually plays. I guess no one's in this, huh? We're learning from this, right? At least we have to learn from this, if anything. My number one lesson, pay attention to the charts. Stop entertaining people. That's my lesson there. So let's switch this over to the cues, because let's just see where we are Q-wise in terms of the cues. The charts are going to be the same, but what price? 434. The low of the Qs, today's low is this low over here. 430. Wow. Do you realize we closed yesterday at 450? So 20 points, and it was minus 20 points yesterday. The day before that, we were at 470 something. So 40 points in 2 days is a massive move. That's pretty massive. Today's Friday, so maybe we close stronger today. That's the hour. That's the hourly. Let's take a look at the 4. This is the 4-hour chart. Look at this. Just a couple of days ago, we were at 482. This was Wednesday. This was the tariff announcement on Wednesday. Man. So that's a pretty sharp and unusual move. Now, one thing to keep in mind, right? So I still believe the probability of bouncing is high on the big picture, right? So I'm still sticking to that. I'm still now in my stream yesterday. I talked about how I'm buying into this. I actually bought earlier today at the pre-market. I forgot to mention I bought 10 shares at I think 435. Right now we're at 4. Yeah, we're there right now. So I bought 10 shares here because I'm like, man, how can I not? I have a total of 90 shares. My average price is 463 on my Qs. Now, again, I went into this position, like I said, I explained yesterday in my stream. That's my average price. I went into this knowing I'm buying into a very weak situation. And so I'm only buying 10 shares at a time. All right. I'm prepared to hold on to the Qs as an investment. I went into this as a plan. This wasn't a day trade gone wrong or a swing trade where I'm like, oh, I'll just hold on to it. I expected a massive move, somewhat of a move, and I knew that 450 was a possibility. I even said in yesterday's stream that 420 is a possibility, right? For you smokers out there. So I'm prepared to hold on that far. And if this thing goes below 420, and I've accumulated my 100 shares, which is my goal, I'm just not going to continue to accumulate. I'm just going to sit on what I got and let this market stabilize. Fed Chair Powell speech in 1 hour. Oh, good to know, Hussein. I had no idea. So I guess he's going to say something. You know what? Yeah, here are my thoughts. He can't make this any worse than it is. So maybe he got a call from someone and said, dude, you better go out there and effing say something because this market is ridiculous. You better say something, bro. He probably got a phone call. So I would suspect he's probably going to come out and say something positive. I doubt he's going to be like, well, man, this market sucks and I'm moving to El Salvador. I doubt he's going to say something like that, which we would then see the NASDAQ at like 200, right? So he's probably going to say something positive. I would anticipate something positive, which means the market is likely, I would be looking for bottoming formations. Okay, that's what I'd be looking for. And so, especially for day trades, look, we have the failed low in place. Look at this situation right here. We're almost at the trailing stop. My trend has turned bullish on this time frame, right? On my 30-second chart, no, my 1 minute chart. So let's go back to the 30 seconds here. This thing is looking for shorts, right? You see that? But I'm not going to take a short in this area. Okay? I'm not going to take a short here. We're at a support, and generally we've recovered somewhat in this supportive area. You see that? So for that reason, because we're at a support, if this was the middle of nowhere, then I would be interested in the short. But since we're at a noted support, I'm going to be interested in the long because we're at a support. Right? So that means I'm going to switch my Trade Scanner Pro to counter trend mode. Right? Now it's going to be looking for longs. Oh, look, there's a long. Oh, there was a long in play. And I missed that one too. All right, no problem. This thing's been in play for a little while here. Now, this is okay. We almost touched the profit objective. So here's the thing with this. Don't be confused. That other trade was still open, but I'm not interested in the short now because of the location. So understand, it's about the mindset first. The Trade Scanner Pro is here to confirm. If we can get back to the entry price, which looks like it's on its way there, I may have a trade here. Okay? If we could get back to the entry price and we can turn, I'll be open to taking that as a long. And I have a lower risk too because my trailing stop has advanced. This trade has been in play for a little bit here. So my trailing stop has advanced. This is the 30-second chart. So here we are. Look, we're back at the entry price. Okay, cool. Now I'm not going to just step into it. Let's see if it stabilizes. All right. Look at all these heads up. Look at all these green columns that we had going into that. A lot of them. So this thing may be near a bottom of some kind. We'll see. Let's see. Now let's see if I get some kind of nice bullish reversal candle here. I'll consider taking the long. Even if we pull in lower, like if we go into this area, right? We're inside the risk area right now. I'll be open to a long. Now, maybe we go straight to the stop, and that's a trade that I can avoid. Okay, this type of candle. Let it close. I'm going to buy 2. Forget it now. It's got to close green. That's why you got to wait for the close. Also, I don't like this. I don't like there's a tail on that candle, even though it's 30 seconds. No problem. Now, you see how I was able to avoid that? Like, it was green for a moment, and then it turned red. Step aside. Step aside. I'm still open to the long, though. What I'd like to see now is a sharp green candle that at least consumes this previous candle. At least give me something like that. If it continues to close red, I have not doing anything here. Nice pin bar too. Look at this pin bar up here. Okay, that's green. All right, now let me give this next candle a chance here. What I'd like to see at least is a clearance of this high on the 30-second candle. If this thing's going to be bullish, it should have no problem. Actually, that's not the high. That's the open. It should have no problem doing that. Okay, getting a pin bar. Let it close. Let's see. Now, we're hesitating at the support level over here. So, okay. But notice, I'm not stepping in front of it. I'm waiting for confirmation here. And this is inside of a trade idea that is very close to getting stopped out. So sometimes you can salvage these trade ideas that maybe you missed the entry on when it gives you another opportunity to get in, like this, possibly. All right, we're hesitating here. I would like to see something like that, a little more dramatic. There we go. All right, I got long. 2 contracts. Now, let's see, what time is it? It's almost 10:30. Ooh. So we have the news of the day out of the way, which was non-farm payrolls, but 10:30, I like to take trades after 10:30. This may be very erratic going into 10:30. 10:30, by the way, is the close of the initial balance. That's where the first hour we have our range high and range low, and we are at the low. So let's see if we bounce a bit here. Let's see what happens. Giving it a try. Now, the nice thing about this trade is I'm not taking the full risk. Okay. My trailing stop is in play, and I got long below the blue line. So my full risk would have been 56 points. My actual risk, since my entry is on this candle over here and I'm using the trailing stop, my actual risk is about 36 points. That's decent. I've almost cut my risk in half. Now, if this thing goes to the trailing stop, I'm going to bang it out and I'm going to take the loss. Okay, and this is on my eval account. What am I going to do? I missed the great trade. I gave this thing a try over here. We'll see what happens. Now, if you're doing this, ideally, you want to place your stop. You want to place a hard stop. So you look at the trailing stop value and you change your stop on your platform. Okay, whatever platform you're using. I'm using the Trade Evade over here through the bridge through TradingView. I could place the hard stop if I go into the order form panel, but I just don't have the time to do all that. So I'll just bang it out manually. The reason why it's a good idea to place the hard stop, meaning you put the stop number into the thing, the reason why that's so important is because if some surprise news comes out right now and this thing spikes 50 points on me, I have to bang that out manually. I'm going to get hammered. Okay. That's the problem with a manual stop. Whereas if I have the hard stop, I may get slipped for a few points, but I'm not going to get banged for 50 points. But with the soft stop, I will. All right, now hold on. This thing is giving me a heads up. I'm going to see if we get another signal here. We might. If we go below the low, I'm going to bang it. That was a trailing stop, by the way. All right, goodbye. Out. Okay, so I took the loss on that one. I gave it a try. That's why you have to respect it. Let's take a look at the Trade Evade account. And minus $143. All right. That's not horrible. I mean, I missed the big one, okay? I missed the big one. Now look at this. This is the 1 minute chart, and this thing has a long on it. So look, it's good that you see this so that you don't get confused. There's another long here. I'm not touching this. I'm in counter trend mode. I'm not touching this. Okay? We're very close to the overnight lows here. We're getting there. But I'm not touching this. I'm not going to chase this on the short side either because we're sitting on the lows. We may get another reversal here. Now, in a situation like this old support may be a new resistance now. And this is going to be a tough long. Like, really, the right thing to do would be to wait to see if we test the overnight low. That's all I can do now. Like, I'm not going to jump into another trade here. Like, I can turn, I'm in counter trend mode. We're likely to see another long signal. What time is it? 10:30. Okay, so we got 10:30 coming out of the way here. We're probably going to see a signal. We got a failed low. We're probably going to see a signal here. All right, I'm going to have to try it. I'll explain in a second. Let the signal pop up, though. That's the whole point of the trade scale. There it is. Now, do we get green? There we go. All right. So I'm trying this again. If this trade goes to the stop, then that's it. No more trades. Okay, that would be my second trade. That would be another losing trade. Sometimes, when I fight the market like this, and it happens, you get stopped out a couple of times. Don't keep doing it. And the worst thing you could do is reverse and start shorting, because you may make a little, but if this thing reverses hard, you're going to get caught on that side too. So look, that's the only way we could play this. Let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. Now, the 1 minute also showed a long, which was about to get stopped out. If this thing stops out, I'm banging it out, and that's it. I'm done. Now you give it a try. You see what happens. It's a tough market. And I'm not going to take these shorts at these lows. Now, I'm going to explain something. Let me just get out of the trade once it stops out. I'm going to explain something here. Because again, this is how you learn making decisions using the Trade Scanner Pro. You're going to have losing trades. There's no way around that. But this is the decision-making process. You have to do some decision-making, right? And then once you're in the trade, it's just a matter of exiting. Once you're in the trade, it's either I'm going to get stopped out or I'm going to the profit objective, all right? Or I'm stopping out at the trailing stop. It's one of those choices once I'm in the trade, and that's that. But getting into the trade is a really important part of the equation here. And the reason why I took another long, even though there's arguments for and there's arguments against, right? So I'm going to explain both arguments. I'm just watching this thing. So if I get stopped out, I got to press the button because this thing may spike through the stop. I want to point something out here. This area right here, that area, we have a support, which is the overnight low. And then we have this resistance, which was a previous hourly low. I'm going to have to bang this out. There it goes. Okay. And sometimes it fakes out. Let's see. I'll give it a chance, a little bit of a chance. But if the next candle keeps going, all right, goodbye. I'm not going to stick around. All right. It goes to the stop. I'm done, especially in this market. So here's what I was trying to explain. Now watch, the third one is the one, but I'm not taking it again. How bad am I on the account here? Let's see. 446. Yeah, I'm done. Watch, this is probably going to be the one. Look at this. So let me there's the signal. All right, let's see how it turns red right away. Let me switch over to the 1 minute. What does that 1 minute look like? Look, the 1 minute got stopped out as well. So when it's very noisy like that, this is why 1 minute is probably better than 30 seconds. Anyway, so here's what I want to point out and why I took that trade. So we're in the middle. Usually when I say we're in the middle, go with the momentum, which is bearish right now. So you should be going with the looking for shorts. But here's the thing. We blew through this support, right? But we had this right here, this failed low relative to this low over here. You see that? I'm going to point out these two lows, this low and this low. So when I see that pattern and I see we try to reverse off of that, which is what this was, I don't mind trying to take those long, even though we were in the middle of this range. Do you see like the argument for that? We were in the middle of this range, which is usually not a good place to take a counter trend position. My next counter trend, really, if I was going to do it, should be at the low, right? But when I see a situation like this, potential failed low, I like to take those because when they work well, right? That could have been a double bottom. So that's the reason why I took that. And it failed 2 times, right? So now I'm minus $500 again on the account. But that's going to happen. Now, one nice thing about using a prop firm, an eval especially, is it's not real. I mean, I have some money on the line. I had to pay for the eval, but I can trade like this with full confidence because I'm not really minus $500. Like, yeah, it sucks, but that's one of the great advantages to using a prop firm is you can trade like that with confidence, and a loss, it happens. But it gives you not now, like, I'm not scared to take another trade because I don't want to lose any more money. I'm not really losing money. I'm just like that now. It sets me back on the eval, and that's going to cost me more if I have to pay for another month. But the amount of money that you save by doing it like this is enormous. So let's say I blow this account. Man, this thing just keeps going, right? Let's say I blow the account and I reach the $2,500 loss limit, which, I have what, $2,000 left on this account. I blow the $2,500. That costs me like $30, or maybe in some prop firms $50, whatever. Okay, so it cost me $50 to blow through $2,500. It's a good thing that $2,500 was not real. It only cost me $50, and I can try again, right? But this is why I suggest you practice for a while first, even before you get into that cycle, because you can blow accounts pretty easily, especially if you get impatient and you start throwing around size, because now you have the confidence. I could throw around a mini lot in this account with confidence. If I blow the account in 5 minutes, all right, I'm out $30. Now, I spend more than $30 on groceries, right? When I go to the supermarket. So that's what I mean. So it gives you a level of confidence that is very hard to have when real money is on the line, especially when you are starting out in this. Years ago when I started, especially with futures, there were no micro lots and there were no prop firms. So you had to trade mini lots. So what would happen is, you'd have to paper trade for like a year. And then when you built up some confidence, you'd get in and blow your $2,500 account or $3,000 account in a few days because you're throwing around mini lots, even though it's only one mini lot, right? That's what would happen. And you'd have to learn that way. And that sucks. So you have some nice luxuries now where you don't have to do that. What time frame? This is the 1 minute. Let me see something here. There's another signal. All right, this is the third signal. I'm going for it. All right, now, and here's why. Again, same reasoning. I said I was done, but I see 3 in a row. I have to try. Let's see how that plays out. Now, my 1 minute, anything there's a signal on the 1 minute also, interestingly enough. Okay. And that's basically where my entry price is. All right. So let's see how, if this one blows, I'm going to be out by like $700, something like that. If this one goes to the stop. But hey, man, look, so technically you should just stop. But as I just finished saying, it's an eval account. So you can be a little more aggressive and do it with confidence. That's a big factor. Now, look, that's some of the pros of a prop firm account. There are a lot of cons too. There's a lot of problems that I have with these type of accounts, but the learning opportunity and the fact that if you can beat the account, you can get paid out on money that's not real. That's something to really consider. Now, um, you feel this one. He feels it. I'm glad you feel it. We shouldn't be feeling anything. But what I mean, it's look, you can now criticize me and say you just told us to stop and now look you trade again. You're a bad trader. This is not an easy game. You know, it sometimes you have to just do that thing. Now, but there has to be a stopping point. So, and like for sure, this is the one because if I don't want to stream for a long period of time. So if this one fails, I'm turning off the stream, and that's guarantees I'm done, right, with this. But so this is how we learn, and that's why I'm documenting every trade with this thing to see, can I beat the eval? Well, today I'm certainly not doing a good job. I'm giving it a try. I missed the winner, that would have been a huge winner. I would have been done with this thing. This could be my third losing trade, and that's it. I really shouldn't do more than 3 trades. I mean, max. So this is the 30-second here. This is the 30-second chart. Man, this market just stinks, man. It just does not want to reverse. It doesn't want to recover. I know what'll happen, though, Hussein. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to say, all right, everyone, I got stopped out. Have a nice day. And then you're going to see a 3,000-point rally after I'm out. It always happens like that. But look, man, either way, we can't be connected. We can't take the outcome personally. I'm giving it a try. It's not working. That's it. My judgment is, I'm not going to say poor because this is the same techniques that I use when things work. So it's not really, it's just like the market's hard. I'm giving it a try. It's not cooperating. I'm just not going to keep fighting it. But I have to recognize one thing. The probability in this location, let's go to our bigger picture here for a moment. Man, look at this thing. Look at the Qs. These things stink. So I'm going to go to MNQ over here on the hourly. MNQ, right? These are the lines that I drew on the chart earlier. I mean, so the whole point of drawing support and resistance lines is to get a sense of the probability, right? Now, support levels, we're likely to see buying activity, but in a bearish environment, they're more likely to break. So far, that support level broke, and now we're at the overnight low area. So I believe there's a chance that if we're going to bounce, this is the place. This is where it's more likely to happen, but momentum is against me. So the low support is likely to break as well. I have to keep that in mind. It's just we're at such a major low that, if we're going to bounce, if I'm going to take that chance of a bounce, this is it. As opposed to, looking for a bounce like up here somewhere, for example. Now I tried with this line that I drew over here, which was based on the hourly low that eventually broke, but that was based on the failed low configuration, which is not something you're going to see on the hourly chart. Okay? That failed. And the situation like this, if the market keeps pushing lower, but like in a slow grind, we're going to keep seeing buy signals. And one of them is eventually going to work. But which one? Don't know. Right? So sometimes, 2 fail, the third one works. Sometimes 3 fail, the fourth one works. But you have to respect the stops. If I was not respecting the stops, I would still be long from like up here somewhere. And I'd be losing a lot of money right now. So I'm still losing money, but I'm losing less money. It's controlled. That's why you have to respect these stops. You may say, oh, but it's the bottom. Come on, man. It's not going to go much lower. It can. In fact, some news, if Powell comes out and he breathes the wrong way, if his eyeball moves the wrong way, this thing will spike 100 points the wrong way on me. So, another mistake that I'm not making here is I'm not putting on more size. I'm still at two micro lots. Like, a common thing would be like, well, if it's the bottom, put on more. Yeah, I could put on 3 or 4, but if I'm wrong, I'm really losing then, right? So I'm not going to push it. This thing wants to stop me out. I'm going to say goodbye. Right? And I'm not going to add. I'll just bang it out and I'm done. Right? You got to keep the losses under control. And putting on more, especially as it's going against you, like dollar cost averaging intraday is a very, very, it's not an effective way to do this intraday. Trust me, I've tried. Especially with these prop firms, I'm like, oh, with these prop firms, I should be able to dollar cost average, no problem. Because if it really goes against me, it's not that bad, right? Well, yeah, it's not that bad, except that you blow accounts very easily. Because you're like, oh, this thing is only against me, with micro lots, a couple of 100 points on a 50K account, and you put 4 lots on, this is going to bang me out. Banged out, man. Okay, let's see if I get like a little recovery off of this. If I don't, I sell. Sometimes it just taps you out. Let's see if I get it. What was I going to say? Like when you dollar cost average into these and you have a market that just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, you blow the account. I've done it. All right, this is not working. I have to bang it out. Okay, that's it. I tried, Hussein. That's it. We don't hold supports. We just keep going lower and lower. Maybe is Powell speaking right now? Maybe Powell will come and save the day. I don't know. But I tried. Okay, I tried here. I tried here. It just doesn't want to go. So don't keep pushing. Let's see how bad the account looks. 868. All right, that sucks. But what am I going to do? If I had that winner from earlier on the 1 minute, am I on the 1 minute over here? Yeah, if I had that short from earlier, let me go back into trend mode here. If I had that short, sorry, counter trade can get you into trouble. If I had that short from up here from earlier, I mean, that trade would have been worth probably $300 or $400. So in the next few days, if I can catch a couple of good days, I should be able to make this back. In 30 minutes, he'll be talking. All right. Man, he's going to have to say something because this market is like really in bad shape here. So he's probably, I suspect in this situation, he's probably going to come out and say something positive because the market needs it. Let's see where the Qs are real quick. All right, I'm not taking any more trades. I'm going to sign off here in a moment. No, hold on. Let's go here to the Qs. And where are we at? 428. We're below 430. So, man, you want to get some good prices? Here you go. That's low. And this may give, maybe we get the failed low on this time frame. Let me go to the hourly, right? Maybe we get the failed low over here. Maybe, but at the moment, there's nothing there. All right. So in this line up here, man, this is my average price. I'm getting hammered on these Qs, but I only have 100 shares. And I said we can go to 420. We may get there in the next few minutes. I thought maybe in a day or so, man. All right. But what am I going to do? All right. So any questions, you guys? Any questions? This is how this plays out, man. This is what a bad day looks like. But if I keep it under control, I tried a couple of times. Don't keep forcing it. I thought maybe that third time we'd get it. It doesn't happen. If I keep going, I'm going to blow the account, right? I don't want to do that. So no problem. Okay, so I'll leave you guys with that. On Monday, I will be streaming again, normal time. We'll see how things are. I also stream again at 3 p.m. So I have 9:30 a.m. and 3 p.m. on Monday. So guys, do me a favor, check it out. And don't forget to press the like button, press subscribe. I hope you learned something today in this situation, because stuff like this happens. All right, so enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world, and thank you very much for watching.